Comparison is the thief of joy. Let me repeat that for you guys. Comparison is the thief of joy. It took me a very long time to realize this. It took me the better part of 20 years to realize this. But once I accepted this idea and changed my life accordingly, I was able to adopt an abundance mindset, and all of a sudden things began to happen for me. All of a sudden my channel began to grow really rapidly. And I've gotten it to the point where I'm making money on it now. And abundance is just flowing into my life from a lot of different areas right now. And it's hard to keep up, but just know that this right here, this ideal, literally changed my whole life. I truly believe that if I had not adopted this mindset, my days would have been numbered. My days would have definitely been numbered because I was not in a good space. Growing up, I was always comparing myself to other people. Whether it was people that I saw on TV or my classmates or just anybody that I saw that I thought was living a better life than me from the outside looking in. And obviously, everyone has their own problems. The grass is always greener on the other side, but at that young of an age, I didn't really understand that. And that mindset stuck with me. I was always looking to other people to determine my own value, my own worth in life. And once social media came into the picture, it took it to a whole nother level of comparison. Growing up with social media really kind of affects the way that you see yourself. And this is something that really isn't talked about enough. Just seeing these standards that people are setting by living their best lives and only showing the good. They're only showing the good things in their life. And this is why in my videos, I really make an effort to talk about everything in my life so that you guys know that it's not always perfect. From the outside looking in, it looks like my life is great, but I have my own issues that I deal with. I always have and I always will, just like anyone else, because we're all human. No one is inherently more valuable than anyone else in life. That's why we're all here. But of course, like I said, growing up, I didn't really see that. And once I began to spend a better portion of my day on social media, checking Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just all the social media sites that I was on at the time, that further perpetuated that cycle of, tearing myself down because I wasn't meeting the standards of other people. The standards that other people didn't necessarily set for me, but I set for myself based on what I perceived other people to be meeting. Now, this carried all the way through high school, through the end of high school. At that point, I was very confused, extremely confused as to what I wanted to do in life. And I remember I would spend hours on end trying to decide my major, which meant that I was trying to decide my career and basically how I wanted to live the rest of my life. Now, mind you, I was like 17 when I graduated high school. In hindsight, it doesn't really make sense that I was trying to map out the rest of my life at such a young age. But I did it because I thought that everyone else had already done that. It seemed like everyone else had a lot more direction than I had, and they probably did. But, who knows? I don't know what was actually going on in these people's heads. It's just from the outside looking in, comparing myself to the people that, were going to Ivy Leagues and just the top schools, and it seemed like they had their whole lives planned out. And then there was me who, I was intelligent, I was a bright kid, but I didn't have any direction. I didn't have a place to put my intelligence. I felt like I was trying to categorize myself and put myself in a box, because that's really what school does, is it puts you in a box and teaches you to conform to society and find your place in society. When in reality, what I've found out about myself is that I don't fit into any one category. I'm just me. All I can do is share all of myself. This is where a lot of entrepreneurs are made. Entrepreneurs are generally people that don't fit into that box. You can't put them in that box because they're just too creative. They're too creative to be put into one little area for the rest of their life. But anyways, like I said, in high school, especially towards the end, I was definitely very anxious about my future, especially as it relates to school and my career. And, obviously I've gotten that pretty much figured out, but who knows? I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 10 years, but right now, YouTube is my passion, and I'm going to continue to do that until I see a reason to stop. And I don't see a reason to stop anytime soon. But speaking of YouTube, YouTube is another point of comparison for me and a lot of people. You know, when you first start out on YouTube and you're putting in these hours, you know, you're putting in hours upon hours upon hours on each and every video, and you're not pulling in the views that these top tier YouTubers are, and you know, you're putting in more effort than they are, it can be very discouraging. You know, it seems unfair when you're comparing your sub count to certain people. You're seeing people pass you up when you know you're working harder than them and your content is better than theirs. And I'm not trying to throw shots or anything like that. You know, I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but I've seen this happen. You know, I've seen it happen where people that were maybe more talented and produced better content didn't go as far as people who didn't produce as good of content. But at the end of the day, you don't know the amount of effort that that person is putting into their videos. All you know is what you're seeing. You're seeing that finished product, but you don't know how long they brainstorm for, how long they spend thinking of video ideas. You don't know the struggles that they go through in their life. Everything seems perfect when you're looking at someone else's life, but no one has a perfect life. That's what you got to understand. No one has a perfect life. So, you know, these sub counts, these view counts, you know, the engagement, none of that stuff really matters in the grand scheme of things. Yes, obviously, if I want to go far on YouTube, I need to have a lot of subscribers. I need to get a lot of views. But in the grand scheme of things, physical reality doesn't really matter. You know, it's all an illusion. I'm not going to get into all of that. Basically, what I'm trying to say is don't put too much stock into a sub count or, you know, anything like that, anything related to social media. And this is something that I struggle with. You know, I'm not perfect. I still struggle with that to this day. I still catch myself looking at my sub count, at the views that I'm getting. And like I said, this stuff is necessary in order for me to not only make an impact in people's lives, but for me to make money. You know, I have no shame in admitting that I want a lot of money. But I have to realize that the reason why I want a lot of money is because I'm comparing myself to people who have more money than me. You know, I see these people living these extravagant lifestyles, and I want a piece of that. I see people that are 20, 21, 22 years old buying mansions and Lamborghinis and things like that, doing exactly what I'm doing, you know, just talking to a camera. And I want a piece of that. But like I said, it's based in comparison. It's all based in comparison. And at the end of the day, the only reason why I want those expensive things is because of the status that they provide me. And what is status based on? It's based on comparison. It's all relative. I want people to see the things that I have and look at me a certain way as a result of that. And of course, as I'm saying this all out loud, you know, it sounds really, really twisted and messed up, because it is. But I'd be lying to you guys if I said that money doesn't matter to me, because it does. But the thing is, it's an endless cycle. It just keeps going. When I make my first $100,000, there's going to be someone out there making $500,000. When I reach that point, it's going to be someone making $1 million. And it'll keep going on and on and on and on until I become the richest man in the world. And even then, there's going to be somebody with something else that I don't have. You know, maybe they're taller than me, like something that I can't change. You know, this is the cycle of comparison. This is why comparison is the thief of joy. If you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, you're only going to see the things that you're lacking that they have. But at the same time, you're going to be overlooking the things that you have that they don't have, because everyone is unique. We all bring something different to the table. And this is where your value is. Your value is that you're you and you're different. And you don't have what someone else has, but they don't have what you have. You know, if you want to do anything big in life, you have to let go of that mentality, because even if you accomplish great things, it'll never be great enough for you, because you'll have that lack mindset. And, you know, this is something that I had to learn with YouTube. I learned that I have to be content with my 9,000 subscribers, because there was a point when I thought that 1,000 subscribers was literally fame. I thought that at 1,000 subscribers, I was famous. And then I hit 1,000 subscribers, and it was like, okay, now I want 2,000. And it just kept going and going and going. And what I realized is that these sub counts, no number, none of that will bring me that inner satisfaction that appreciating myself for who I am will bring me. And I think that anytime that I thought about quitting YouTube, it was because of me looking at these numbers. I thought, okay, I'm putting in a lot of work, but my sub count's not growing fast enough. I'm pulling all-nighters to edit these videos, getting 200 views, and I'm staying stagnant. I'm getting like 10 subscribers a month. And obviously, like I said, that is very discouraging when you're at that point. If you're a small YouTuber, that is a grind. And if you lose sight of the fact that YouTube is supposed to be about creation as opposed to the numbers, then eventually you probably will quit, even if you hit 1 million subscribers, because you're going to see somebody like Mr. Beast at 40 million subscribers. You're going to say, man, like, he's doing so much better than me. I don't think that I can do this. I don't think I can get to that point. And you keep doubting yourself and giving yourself this negative self-talk because you're comparing yourself to someone else, the top of the top. And like I said, with social media, this has definitely affected the way that people see beauty standards, and I fell victim to this as well. Up until like a few months ago, like earlier this year, I didn't realize that people were editing their pictures before posting them on Instagram. I didn't realize that people were doing that. And I was over here, posting my pictures, no filters, no editing, no nothing. And I'm thinking like, man, my pictures don't look as good as, this person's. But they're over here editing their pictures, running them through like 3 different types of software. And, I'm comparing myself to them when we're not on equal ground. And this is the reason why I don't like to edit my pictures. I don't like to do things like that. I like to present myself as I am, because I don't want people to try to reach these unrealistic standards. And when I say unrealistic, I don't mean that these things aren't achievable. I just mean that you shouldn't be trying to achieve them. That shouldn't be your primary goal. You should be trying to get better, but you should be doing it for you, not for anyone else. Another great example of this is the gym. When I first started going to the gym, I was really, really skinny. I was weak. I could barely bench the bar, and I would see people benching 3 plates on each side. And I thought, man, there's no way that I'm ever going to be like them. And I'm still not like them. I'm still not benching 3 plates on each side, but I've made progress. I've made a lot of progress from where I started. I'm not swole or anything like that, but my body looks good. There's always going to be room for improvement. I'll always be able to get bigger. My skin could always get a bit clearer. I could always have more subscribers, more money. There's always going to be room for improvement. But at the same time, things could also always get worse. You have to put things into perspective. The life that you're living right now is someone else's dream life. Someone out there wishes that they had the life that you have right now. And like I said, this is something that I've realized with YouTube. I have 9,000 subscribers, and sometimes that doesn't feel like enough to me. I feel like, man, I don't have 100,000. I don't have 500,000. Things like this pop into my head occasionally. But then I have to take a step back and realize that a year ago at this time, I had like 200 subscribers. And, the idea of having 9,000 subscribers, if you told me that I was going to have 9,000 subscribers a year from last year at this time, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be super excited about that. 9,000 subscribers is a lot of people. My graduating class in high school was like 1,100 people. That's almost 9 times my graduating class that is subscribed to my channel. Once I learned to adopt that abundance mindset, and like I said, it's not perfect. I still have these thoughts sometimes, but I have people supporting me, and they help me put it into perspective. That definitely helps a lot, to have people like that to help me out, and I do appreciate it. We all have our own unique path in this life, but you have to trust in that path. You have to trust in your path. When you see people passing you up, in whatever you're trying to do, and it doesn't seem like they're putting in as much effort, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Don't worry about what they're doing. Don't worry about someone else's growth. Don't worry about any of that. Just focus on yourself. Focus on your unique individual path. Do not compare your journey to anyone else's in any aspect of life. No 2 journeys are the same, no matter what it is. You're unique. You have your own starting point. You know, another point of insecurity for me as I got older was the fact that I come from a privileged background. You know, I felt like it would take away credibility in anything that I do because, you know, I had stability to fall back on if I needed it. And yeah, while it is true that my journey to, you know, where I'm at was not as difficult as some other people's journeys, there are a lot of people that had it way better than me coming up, and they haven't done a fraction of what I've done with what they have. What I've learned is that I need to learn to accept my path, my journey, my individual journey. It's one of a kind, just like yours.